Hi there, welcome to the tutorial on the Shrinky Dink keychains. I'm going to go through what we're going to need. First you're going to need some Shrinky Dinks, and if you don't know what Shrinky Dinks are, they're these plastic sheets that you color on, and you can use markers or markers or colored pencils, sorry, and you shrink them down in the oven and they make pretty keychains and pendants and things like that. These I got at Walmart in the kids craft section where the window sun catchers are that the kids paint in the sun catchers. They were over in that area. So you're going to need those. You're going to need scissors to cut your design out. You're going to need a hole punch or something to put a hole in the Shrinky Dink before you heat it up. You're going to need some markers and permanent markers. They have to be alcohol based. You can use colored pencils as well. These are Sharpies. Also, they have there are these big came out with these Intensity, and they're permanent markers as well. You need a paintbrush and Mod Podge glaze or some kind of glaze like glossy accents, polycrylic, any kind of glazing. This is dishwasher safe, but they make different kinds of glaze. This is not Mod Podge glue, it's the actual glaze, and you need the paintbrush for that. If you're using glossy accents, you won't need a paintbrush. You need some little, these are jewelry pliers. You can use regular pliers, and the reason you need these is because you have this little jump ring, which you'll need as well, jump ring, and to open it and close it you need the pliers. You can use your fingernails, but I always end up breaking my fingernails with it, so when I do it, so you'll need that. You'll need one key ring or keychain, something to put them on your keychain with. You'll need a design, and I'm not going to do all these details because it's just too much. I'm just going to trace the basic outline, and this came from a coloring book called Creative Coloring Botanicals, and so I'm going to use this design right here. And I think that's it for what you're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and get my Shrinky Dink here, and if you'll notice on your Shrinky Dink there's two sides. There's a shiny side and a matte finish side. And one thing I didn't tell you is you're going to need an oven or a heat gun. I tried it with my heat gun before and I didn't really like the results, so I'm going to use the oven this time. So what you're going to do is you're going to get you want the matte side up because that's the side you color on. You want to put your design down. I'm going to use some masking tape to keep my paper in place. You don't have to. I'm just doing it because I might move the paper. I'm left-handed, so sometimes when I'm writing or coloring it moves around. So I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to outline the basic shape of the Shrinky Dink, or of the rose. Okay. I'm just going through and outlining just the basic, really basic shape, because I think with Shrinky Dinks, if you put too much detail, they get lost in because what happens is the Shrinky Dinks get so small that it's hard to see all the details that you put into it, so it's kind of a waste of time to put all those details in. I just thought the rose shape was really pretty, so that's why I decided to go with it. But I am putting some, I am putting some of the lines in. But just because the shape of the rose is kind of weird here because of all the extra lines that are in the coloring page. And you can use kids coloring books pages, you can use magazine pictures. You can trace anything you want onto this. You can print out things from your computer and trace them and put them on it, or and trace them to make your Shrinky Dinks. You can trace pictures. If you have like a really good picture of one of your kids, you can trace that onto them. And you want to make sure you get all of your lines traced, because if you don't, you won't know when you try it, when you take it off the design, off the back of the coloring page, you won't know where your lines are. So I'm tracing all of the main lines, and up here, see, if I left this like this, all this would be an open space. And I don't want that. I want to trace the actual rose petals on it. So I think I got them all. Let's trace this big one down here. Okay. And right here. Alright, so now what you do once you get all your dark lines traced is you go ahead and you start coloring it in. And I'm just going to use this bright pink color. And I'm gonna leave it on the thing so I can make sure I get all the spaces filled in. Well, let me show you how it works if you take it off. Let me take it off the paper background so you can see the outline. See, there's the rose outline. And you kind of want to color in all the space. Like if you leave a little bit of white, it might show up, or a little bit of clear. It'll be clear. It turns clear whenever it gets smaller. Right now it's a little bit off white because of the matte finish, but you want to make sure you get all the spaces. And when you're coloring with markers like this, with these permanent markers, you want to try to avoid going over the black lines because it'll smudge onto your color. If that happens, you just take your marker and rub it off onto a piece of paper and keep going. So right now I'm just coloring in, and when it's wet, it looks brighter. It changes, the color changes a little bit. This is the dry part and this is the wet part, so you can see it looks like two different colors, but it's actually the same color. And I have not tried this with colored pencils, but I know that it says on there that it works with colored pencils. And I haven't tried it with acrylic paint. I do want to though. So I'm thinking maybe not acrylic paint. Maybe that type of puffy paint, maybe that would work. I don't know. Well, I'm going to experiment and see. Maybe I'll have another tutorial when I figure out what of that works, and have another tutorial about that. Okay, I'm going to fast forward this so you don't have to watch me coloring in all this, and I will be back. Okay, so I am back, and the rose is completely colored in. So now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut it out. And I'm left-handed, so my cutting is a little bit different, but looks different on this side. But I'm just going around and fussy cutting it. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because it is going to shrink up, and you're not going to notice because you're not going to notice the edges if you get a little bit of the plastic on it because it's clear, and when it shrinks up it's clear, except for where you colored at. And you can do this with anything. You can make keychains and pendants. You can use any coloring pages you want to trace. Your kids' art you can trace. You can trace pictures from magazines. You can trace like photos. If you have a photo of one of your kids or your dog or your cat or something, you can trace that onto it, and just the main details. So now we have that. Then you're going to take your hole punch or something to make a hole with, and you're going to punch a hole in the top, or wherever you're going to hang it. If you're going to hang it from a keychain like that, you can punch it on that side, but I'm going to hang it from the top, so I'm going to punch it right there. Now you're going to put this in the oven on a piece of parchment paper or craft paper or something like that at 325 degrees for, let's see how long it says, for about it doesn't seem to want to tell me how long you're supposed to put it in the oven for. So I know that you put it in the oven until it gets about not half the size, like twice as small. So it's like this now. It would be like that big, like around that big in the oven. So let's see, I'm going to go put this in the oven, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you how long I left it in there for. So I will see you in a minute. So it took about 5 minutes to get the rose to get hard and to get all the way small like it should be. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cover both sides with our glaze. So I'm going to do one side, let it dry, then do the other side, let it dry, and then I'm going to come back and show you how it looks after it's dry, because right now it's rough on one side and it's not very shiny on the other side either. And be careful when you're doing the glaze not to get it in your in the hole. If you do get it in the hole, to remove it from the hole, so that way it doesn't close up your hole, so you can still put it on your keychain. And I do not like this brush. Here we go. Yes, a soft brush works much better than a hard brush. And you might have to coat it several times. I'm going to do it one time and see, and if I need to do it a second time, then I'll come back and let you know, and we'll see. So let me coat it with my glaze. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm back, and we have our rose all dried. The side with the Mod Podge, I think my Mod Podge is too thick. I think it got dried out a little bit because I haven't used it in a while. So it was too thick, so it left lines. So I went and done the other side with the polyacrylic, because you're supposed to do both sides. And this is polyacrylic, and it's clear gloss. And it turned out a lot better. Oops, that's open. Well, okay, and it turned out a lot better. So now we are going to use our beading tools. I don't know what these are called, pliers, and you're going to open up your jump ring and insert it into the hole where you have that you made for with your hole punch. Okay. Then you're going to put your key ring on it. Actually, I'm going to do this the other way. I'm going to close it up and then put this onto the key ring. I think it'd be easier that way. So to close it up, you just push it back the other way. You don't want to pull this way to open it because it won't close back all the way. So if you can see, I have it closed. I just opened it sideways and closed it back. Now we're going to put it on our key ring. If I can get it, it's a little bit. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. Pretty keyring rose, or whatever flower or whatever design you chose. Alright, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Have a wonderful day.